Hey everyone, Philip here from Reach Your Goals Personal Finance Coaching. Today I'm going to walk through a worksheet I built for my practice regarding assets and liabilities. And I use this for new clients to capture kind of where their financial standing is. But I think it's something that you could also find beneficial just for taking inventory of where you stand financially. So we're going to cover the purpose of an asset versus liability worksheet, and I'll also walk through the various components of the worksheet. So the purpose of the asset versus liability exercise is to take an inventory of what you own, so those are your assets, versus what you owe, and those are your debts or liabilities. And when we talk about assets, we're going to talk about two different types of assets. Cash value assets, so these could be things like your 401k with an employer, it could be an IRA account, it could be any investments that you have in a taxable brokerage account. This could be just cash savings that you have in a checking or savings account, including your emergency fund. And so we're going to look at not only the account balances for all of those accounts, but we're also going to look at how much you're contributing monthly to each one. So in the example of a former employer 401k, you might have an account balance but not actually be contributing. We still want that represented in the worksheet. The other kind of asset that we'll talk about is tangible assets. So these are things that are not in cash, but they have value. And some of these are things that may even have not been fully paid off yet. So these things include your car, or if you have more than one vehicle, or they could be a boat, or they could be your primary residence as well. So if you own your own home. And for these, we're looking at the value of them as well as how much outstanding debt you still have on them. And this is also where you would record any other assets that you might have. It might have a cash value, for example, jewelry or artwork. So next we're going to look at liabilities. And for liabilities, this often will include various credit cards or auto loans or mortgage loans that you have and student loans. And they might also include other personal loans if you owe friends or family. And what we're trying to capture here is your account balance, and then also how much you typically pay towards those account balances each month. And then for various types of credit that's being used, we want to capture what your credit limit is, as well as what your annual percentage rate, your interest rate is. And so with that, we're able to kind of get a better picture of what your credit score or your credit standing might be. And so we can look at, is your balance nearing your maximum limit for a credit card, for instance. And so because of that, we want to capture not only credit cards that you're actually carrying a balance on, but we want to look at any accounts that you have that are still open, even if they don't have a balance. So once we have all the numbers in, we can look at our totals, and we can look at our total amount of assets and our total amount of debts, and we can compare the two. So we take our assets and we subtract our liabilities, and the result that we get is our net worth. Now, when you're first starting out, maybe you haven't accumulated a lot of assets, or maybe you have a lot of debts first starting out. It's not uncommon to have a negative net worth. But the purpose of this is to not only get a point in time snapshot of where you are standing financially, but also to use that information to take into consideration where you're going net worth wise in the future. So another purpose for this exercise is to see how much you're contributing per month towards various asset growth, or how much you're contributing each month towards debt elimination. We can use that to figure out what your savings rate is, or to figure out what percentage of your income is going towards debt repayment. In addition to looking at your asset versus liability at a specific point in time, there's also value in looking at this on a more recurring basis. Recording your net worth on a recurring basis can be motivational. It allows you to set some goals in terms of what kind of net worth targets you might have in the future, and it just lets you track to see whether you're making progress or not towards your savings goals. I'll share with you how I track my net worth year over year in an upcoming video.